infrastructure. So basically, we are going to focus on blockchain as like what is the theory behind the usage of blockchain, but beyond the existence of the cryptocurrency. So, what are the use cases in general, and what is the big picture beyond the cryptocurrency existence? Since like we already know, like once you talk about blockchain, everyone understand like big concepts. Like the first thing that comes in mind is about cryptocurrency, and yet we know that cryptocurrency is like one of the big projects which like ever made like on top of blockchain. But beyond cryptocurrency, so we have other use cases and other workflow where blockchain can be used. So on this specifically presentation or session, we'll be focusing on the blockchain as an infrastructure, or basically the usage of blockchain as a technology, like beyond the existence of the block of the cryptocurrency. So this is what we're going to cover. So basically, we're going to see blockchain as an infrastructure itself. We're going to see the use cases, and they're going to see the blockchain projects, and also what are the challenges and what are the solutions, or basically the proposed solutions, like just to overcome the challenges which we are currently having as of now. So now, moving forward, so this is basically what's like just retouching again the definition of the blockchain as an infrastructure. This is basically the application of blockchain beyond the realm or existence of the cryptocurrency. So let's try to understand this, like how can we use the blockchain as a technology, how this blockchain, this technology can be used in real estates, in banks, in supply chain. Yes, some of the workflow might still need the cryptocurrency, but not as a big fact, or maybe as a big usage, because let's say we have maybe an e-commerce or maybe your estate platform where people are doing the buying and selling. Yes, the system can support maybe the payment via card, or maybe via, I mean, in our context, maybe mobile money. And let's say also maybe the system wants to integrate the crypto payments, maybe for the payment workflow. But beyond the payment with crypto, the system itself can also be built on top of blockchain. So we can have an e-commerce built on smart contract. Remember, in the one of the workshop we saw that we can also structure or write a program where we can create the functions, we can do the transactions depending on the workflow. Like we saw, like for example, we saw the Rotary, where people can join the Rotary and then get the ticket, and then randomly the people who have joined the Rotary, we get all the funds. So just a lower level example that we saw. So coming back to our example, so basically, let's say if we have this e-commerce and maybe also deployed on blockchain. So these products, let's say we have smart contracts in the background where the if we write or we post a product, so it will basically call the smart contract like the program, and then it calls the function in the uh, in the backend, so-called like blockchain backend, and then to call the transaction for adding the product. So it's basically having like a backend right-hand solidity. I mean, if we let's say we're using Ethereum in our case, but you know that we have also other protocols like Solana and Polygon, and also the language might differ depending on the protocol that you are using. So basically, I'm trying to say that if we have a project, and then a project is built on top of Ethereum, and then the project is not basically or mostly relying on the cryptocurrency or the trade or on the trading, rather now it's focusing on infrastructure, on technology itself, like how this technology is putting in the security and the immutability. So moving forward, we have the components of the uh, blockchain as an infrastructure. This is basically the components itself for the blockchain, or maybe decentralized application generally. So we have so basically all the systems or all the projects. So they need to have like blockchain protocols or respective blockchain protocols, because whichever project that is there is basically built on top of like on another protocol. So reflecting back, we saw that in the protocol we have different protocols, basically Bitcoin, Ethereum, Avalanche, Solana, and then also remember that we saw also the layers, like blockchain, which are layer one, layer two, layer three, where we saw that on layer one you can basically say this is independent blockchain, so they're basically there, they don't depend on another blockchain. And the layer two, we know that they're basically depending on the layer one. And we saw that on layer three and layer four, where how like we saw like enterprise blockchain. And moving forward, we saw like a small compilation between the levels, like layer two and layer one, where we saw like sometime, I mean, most of the time you'll see that layer two might be having like a high speed more than layer one, where like, for example, if you take like a project, maybe deploy it on Ethereum, and another project deploy it on Polygon. Here, like we know that the Polygon is a layer two, layer two blockchain, which is on layer two, uh, layer two type, if I could call it so. So, like for example, if you test it on a few transaction or a few people testing the platform, the slight difference in speed might not be totally detected. But for the big project, people are having like maybe 1,000 of transactions. You might see, or maybe on the report they are putting out, that layer two is having like high speed, or moving or just it's having high speed more than layer one. So it's just basically like a small compilation. So another component is every like blockchain as an infrastructure, or maybe application which is there, or a solution on top of blockchain, need to be having like a consensus mechanism. So this consensus mechanism also is coming from the protocol that you're using itself. So we know that if you go deeper, the consensus mechanism, we have proof of work, we have proof of stake, proof of history, delegated proof of history, and so on. So as of now, those are maybe the top four mostly used, but I believe there are also uh, um, other consensus mechanism which is being there. And also we saw that if you go deeper, you need to understand basically the algorithm that is being used in general. Like we saw SHA 256, where so that this is basically the algorithm which is basically, I mean, basically popular, and the validators are mostly using it to validate the transaction and the blocks, which is going to be approved, and then it is added on the existing linked transactions, or maybe linked blocks. So every application also needs to have to follow this consensus mechanism. Like if you 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 click on a button and try to call a function in the smart contract. So basically, the way this transaction is being approved in the background, it needs to follow the consensus mechanism techniques. So smart contract, this is basically the code itself. Smart contracts, or so-called program, just set of lines of codes, the agreement. So basically, the application needs to have the codes, just basically the logics which should be called, and then the function um, will be called in the background. This is like in normal development, is as it's basically if maybe I go to maybe yen.com, and then I open up an article, and then I comment on something. So basically, in general, I'm calling a function, maybe in the normal backend, and then I give my message to the respective function, and then they're going to add my comment under this X maybe article. This is basically the code itself, the logic behind, which should be called depending on transaction definition. And we have yeah, so this is basically most of where blockchain can impact or maybe can put uh, the big effect or maybe can be used. So we have the supply chain. Maybe if people are trying maybe to track the product, maybe for example, maybe from the importing, maybe the person who is driving the product, maybe um, up to the destination. So this is basically about the logistics and maybe also from the product, from the product creation to the product consumer. So basically trying to track the whole phases of the product. So I remember there's one of my colleagues was talking about like where like you can see a coffee, and then a coffee is having maybe like a QR code, and then whenever you scan the QR code on the coffee package, you see like the whole list of the people who have participated to the production, all the production process till the coffee is packed and is there in the store or in the shop. So you can just you can have like a tracing or maybe um, like a list of the steps, or maybe people who have uh, contributed to the production of the product. Just get to see who was the farmer, who was maybe the people who did the transport, maybe who had also the people maybe who do the packaging, just as an example. Just getting to see the traceable and the immutability record of the product itself. So also blockchain can be also be used in healthcare, in hospital. Let's say maybe I go to this A hospital and I do the consultants. I give my record, and maybe after 5 months, and I'm in a different location, and I don't want to. If I go to B hospital, which is different from the first hospital A, and most of the time you are likely to do the same steps, uh, and it will be good if maybe since you have already done the first consistency or maybe the registration, so it will be good that if you go to the second hospital, they should have the same record or maybe the same steps you have already covered or maybe passed through. In general, it will be good if you don't go back to do the same steps. So, and also this needs to be this is particular, like depending on the project workflow, but this can be also it will need some kind of laws and privileges, because you need to say only doctor need to access these particular records. Maybe a nurse or maybe other hospital guy doesn't need to access the this kind of information. So maybe only the doctor and I myself, we are only the ones to access the information. So depending on the project workflow or scope, also this can be used as a tool or maybe as a technology. Now the video estate itself, this is basically basically say normal real estate platform. So they're basically posting houses, lands, just all assets, and then people are buying and selling. They create this marketplace for them, and now how maybe blockchain can be added there. So maybe first we can say maybe we can add maybe crypto payments, okay, but also how about these records or maybe these houses and also um, every transactions. How about these transactions run on the blockchain itself, where like no one is will have to attempt the immutability or changing something. And also moving forward with this, we have to cover. Also, I will have, maybe I can share also some articles about also like the trends on this real estate platform, where we have or there's the project which is out there where you talk about like tokenization, where you need to say this physical asset, I need to tokenize it and give it this particular digital value, and then it will have like a value, like a token symbolizing the physical asset itself. So we'll have maybe to talk a few on that particular comment, particular topic also. So also the transparency and charity, no, no, transparency and trust in charity. So since like we know we have the immutability and also the security. So now let's say if we have a project and then we are maybe receiving some funds, and then all the funds is being tracked, or uh, they have like a record, or maybe for example, since you know like we saw that also smart contract is able to store some amount or some coin or some money. So and if um, the money is there in the smart contract, it is already secured because it's already stored on the blockchain. So unless the function which puts out the funds is called, uh, these funds cannot go out unless the right function is called to process the transaction for putting out money. So now also the cross-border payments, which is a big trend in the region and Eastern region, like you see that we have always also in our um, country, or like friend neighbor countries, where you see like most of the project they're trying to also cover this cross-border payment and remittances. So how do we try to send some, if you try some money and maybe normal way, let's say it takes maybe 2 to 3 days or maybe 8 hours, depending on the platform or maybe the type of payment you are using. And then we know that if it goes to the digital or crypto, it will take mostly some minutes or maybe a few hours. So also this is like where blockchain can be used. And also we have the tokenization of the assets itself. This is basically when you talk about, I remember on the last session I talked about, like we had a small talk on the DePIN, decentralized physical infrastructure, which is basically also a tool which can be used to leverage the use of this like asset tokenization. So there's a long list we're going also to see in the coming slides where this particular blockchain can be used. Moving forward, also you have this particular recommendation, like how can you build your capacity or maybe your blockchain background in general. So now it's not mandatory to follow every steps. It's just whichever works for you. You just need um, to do so, whichever make it easy for you. So now there is like engaging in a hackathon. So in the hackathons, it happened. There's a lot of, so you the networking. You connect with different developers, and also you face real challenges because, like in most of the hackathons, you're trying to come up with a solution. So now, when you're trying to come up with a solution, that's why you face with the real challenge, and then you try to debug and work on your codes. So, and also we have joint developer communities. So there's a lot of communities out there, like ours that we have, like the one I've joined on Discord, but also there's also other communities which you can join for different protocols. You see that like maybe generally in like normal development, you see that there's community maybe for JavaScript enthusiastic. You see that there's maybe community for Ethereum or blockchain developers. You see that there's community for maybe designers, UI UX designers. So basically, if you join the community, you keep updated with the news or the trends within your industry. If you get like a bug or something, you'll be able to post maybe your challenge and you seek for a solution. So now also contribute to open source project, which is a really good workflow. So like there's a long list of the open source project on GitHub, which you can contribute to. So what you do like the same we do like maybe in our normal development, just maybe just clone it, create a solution, then create a pull request, then you contribute. So and there's also like I had some colleagues who have been contributing on the project, and then sometimes they get paid if they come up with a good solution or maybe like a good innovation, which could be added in the like on the project. So now also like explore research initiatives. This is basically doing the research and um, basically how do we do the innovation within your industry depending on your tech background, like research initiatives. Let's say maybe okay, we're working on blockchain, and maybe how about if we combine blockchain with IoT, or maybe blockchain with AI. So this particular like research that is there, or maybe innovation. So also it helps you to explore like other side of the coin, which is out there, and the more you do the innovation, the more you have like a good project, which could be a good solution within your company, or maybe within your career. Yes, also we need let's also read blockchain development articles. So basically, uh, you know that when we are trying to upgrade our skills, or maybe try to learn, so we can try obviously YouTube and articles, but you know that also there are some people who like to write article to follow with the articles. Like maybe if you try Medium or other platform, and then maybe this particular article which says maybe how do we create maybe full stack decentralized application, and then there's a long like maybe a long page where you need to do step by step, and then at the end have like a full stack decentralized application. This is also like a good way to learn. So also we have watched tutorials, which is basically like most of the straightforward way in learning. But the big challenge is, so most of the time we use YouTube, and I mean, when you are following someone, you obviously going to have the same output because it's step by step. Like the guy you're following, or maybe the lady you're following. So if you are one, you do the step one. If you are on step two, you do the step two. So at the end, you have the same product. But if you don't challenge yourself with this particular solution, so you won't be able to see the real challenge within the development. So I'm saying like it's good to learn with tutorial, but once you're done with the tutorial, to try to do like a simple solution. Let's say I'm learning maybe how to use Solidity with React, or maybe with whichever front-end framework. So I follow this guy and I'll complete the tutorial, right? And so obviously I'm going to end up with the same result. Like most of the time, if there is no versioning within the code, like most of the time you end up with the same output. But what about if maybe let's say, how about maybe I create maybe visit Rwanda brand and change myself? How can I maybe create this particular platform, and then maybe at least register the uh, maybe the person visiting this particular place, and then maybe store them in the dashboard, and maybe retrieving them or maybe also update their names or something. So when you're doing so, that's where you first with the real challenges within the project. But if you continue moving forward with the tutorials, so you're going to always be guided within the tutorials. So it's always good to say if I complete this particular article or YouTube video, so I need to challenge myself and get to do like a real solution. So maybe in our respective companies, if maybe finish learning something, how can I maybe do this particular maybe small solution maybe on top of blockchain, just as an example. And so, how do you choose like a great blockchain protocol or ecosystem? So, remember that blockchain protocol. This is like basically like talking about maybe how do you choose which platform works best when you are in comparison between maybe Bitcoin, Solana, Ethereum, and Polygon, just a long list. So, in general, so people choose protocol depending on the on difference, maybe on their background, on maybe their target, the scope of the project, and also, sorry, maybe the clientele or maybe the people they are targeting. Uh, but in general, when this is we have like around 4 to 5 features or key points that we need to focus on. So every protocol that you need to choose need to have trust and transparency. Uh, Basically, the security itself. So user needs to have privacy, obviously, and also need to have cost efficiency when it goes to gas fees. Remember that gas fees, the more you have gas fees, the more, obviously, the more you will lose people on your platform. So let's go to the like an off-topic example. Let's say maybe if I'm trying to send someone like in normal way when I send you some money, let's say if I send you 5K on Momo, so they also deduct around like 200 Rwandan francs just to pay the transaction. So now let's say we have other competitors for MTN, and maybe if I send 5,000, they're charging 500. If I'm sending 5,000 on another platform, they're charging 1,000. Like so, basically, the provider or the platform which offers a few amount for the transaction. So that's obviously the platform which most of the people will have to choose, because when I send 5,000, I don't want to spend 1,000 just for my transaction to occur. So rather, I would like to pay 200 for my transaction to occur. So that's where like the cost efficiency, or maybe in the background the gas usage or the gas consumption. Uh, Also, people may choose the platform basically depending on how they feel free for not spending a lot on the transaction to happen itself. So now also the protocol needs to be decentralized. So I know we also saw that there are some of the blockchain project which have centralized part and also decentralized part. Most of the people or developers or other stakeholders, so they might choose the protocol depending on the decentralization feature itself. Like how is it structured? Is it fully decentralized, or maybe some features are decentralized and other are centralized? So another key component is the transaction speed. So when you perform something, how is this happening? How long does it take to complete the transactions? Is it minutes? Is it milliseconds? Is it this X amount? So this particular protocol, like this particular feature, the speed itself also play like a big role for the protocol to be chosen. So speaking of the blockchain itself, so we like it's basically we have been talking about like the blockchain, the good thing, and the like the positive part only. So also we need to be aware that there's also like fraud in space. Like this is like a screenshot I took where like you see like 1.5 billion in cryptocurrency was lost to fraud in the United States. This is like a small um, a small example. So there's also scammers and fraud within the space. Like for the tech part, so Maybe people who are also doing remote jobs, you see like maybe even on LinkedIn, people will reach out to you and say, maybe I want you to contribute on this particular project. And they will say, I have this maybe project, decentralized or blockchain project, and I want maybe you to join the team. And then they send you some codes which you need to run. So, but you need to be conscious because most of those particular codes, like for example, let me take this example for maybe JavaScript workflow. So maybe they will send you this React front-end framework, and it has particular code and script to run. And if you install the dependency, that's fine. But by the time you run the project itself, so that you could see the the output in the browser, so they have like lines of codes which triggers the tools in your extension, like browser extension. So we know that you see we have our MetaMask is there in extension, and like mostly all the wallets is added as an extension in the browser. So now if you run this particular codes, it automatically triggers your wallet. And so if it's not secured enough, that's why when you're creating a wallet, you need to add those secret keys, like 12 secret keys. So when you're creating it, there's a step where you get and they ask you, do you want to set up the 12 secret keys or not? So it's best to still create these secret keys. It's nice to have it because you're also adding, increasing your security in the background. So back to the attacker context. So when you run the codes, they are basically they have the codes which are trying to attack your wallet in general. So now you need to be conscious when you receive a project, and then a client asks you to first learn the project and send them the screenshot. Like obviously, so if you send me the codes to contribute on the project, so why do you need to for me to like to give you the screenshot to prove that I've already set it up the project? I mean, it might be fine just to show you that I already did the setup, and maybe on the level that they were on, I'm able to run the project locally. I can see the screenshot. But pay attention when it's a Web3 project or blockchain project. So there might be some like harmful codes which might triggers some insecure workflow within your environment that you're using. So also now we're going to see what are the use cases. So basically, retouching again where the blockchain as a technology can be used. So we talked about like supply chain. I've tried to gather around like the project which is existing in maybe like mostly maybe in Africa, what are these particular projects which is already there and being used? So like how blockchain can improve transparency and traceability in supply chain. So basically supply chains we talked about like tracking the procedures from the products, maybe creation or import up to the product consumption, or maybe endpoint, like last step of the product. So example, we have the V chain, which uh, uses supply chain and traceability. This is like a project which is out there, and it's also leveraging the usage of the supply chain. So there's a long list. If you we took some time and do a research, so we can have other projects which is fixing or solving the supply chain issues, and using blockchain as a technology. So now in healthcare, same within the hospital, and that ensuring data privacy. Remember that we're talking about like if we have this particular platform, and we don't want my records, it should be only seen by me and only the doctor, right? So the record, even if maybe we want to synchronize the data maybe to the whole hospital, so that like no one will have to um, just to do the same steps again. But we synchronize the record, we don't want everyone to see our record. So the record should only be visible like only by the patient, him or herself, and also the doctor, like respective doctor also. And so basically ensuring data privacy and secure sharing of health record. And we also have like Acon's work in Africa healthcare. This is also a project which is out there also trying to come up with solutions in healthcare. So, and also we have blockchain in agriculture. So, ensuring transparency in agricultural supply chain and fair trade. So, this is basically when focusing on on the agricultural product and how do we trace or keep track, maybe from the farming level, maybe up to the trading level. How do you keep tracing and remove fraud and remove the insecure between the project? So now we have this example like IBM Food Trust blockchain and the use of blockchain for food safety. So basically they're trying to come up with a solution within the supply chain, but basically focusing on the agriculture itself. So and also we have like in education, so like credential verification and blockchain for academic record. So basically saying like if we have this particular blockchain, maybe we have like a registration platform, or maybe we have a reporting or maybe attendance platform, just to all the transaction or the record is stored on the blockchain, and then the platform it should be on the UI. It should have like a normal front end, which is same as the other project. But for this specific one, it's like so they're basically focusing on the credential verification, just in schools. So this is like the use of blockchain to verify like academic verification, like in Kenya. So there's this particular project. So also there's an article for this particular trend. And there's other solution which can be also added in education. Like we remember that we saw when you go back and talk about oracles. So oracles, remember that they are the bridge. They connect us to the external world. So we know that blockchain itself, it's really hard to connect to the API, right? Or real-time changing data which are changing more often. So we need to use this particular oracle to help us to connect to the external world. So within the oracle, we saw different types of the oracle. We saw physical oracle, hardware oracle, and inbound and outbound. So on the hardware oracle, we saw the RFID. So basically, those cards that you can use to maybe they're used in the workplace. They're used as a just to mark their tenancy for in the workspace. Now, in this particular education workflow, you can say, since let's suppose like every student is having he or her, I mean his or her student card, and then this card also can have this RFID feature, and where we can use this hardware oracle, and then whenever the students use the card, maybe when he's entering the class, it will synchronize like our transaction within the blockchain itself. So we are basically using the hardware oracle just to synchronize the action or operation within the blockchain, which also can be like a project within education. So we have also decentralized learning platform. This is like basically like blockchain powered platform enables decentralized and peer-to-peer learning. So this is basically how this particular tool on blockchain can be used uh, when like for learning concepts. So you see like this like tutorial, a platform connecting learners with tutors with blockchain, ensuring transparency in payments and reviews. So let's say if you want to learn and basically let's suppose like let's take an example for Udemy. So just we know that Udemy, this is a platform where people are selling courses and people are buying courses. So let's say if I am a tutor and then I want to maybe create a course and then put it online, and then people will have to buy the course. So maybe let's suppose I'm using Udemy. So basically, understand this as having Udemy, but Udemy built on top of blockchain, where the security and transparency is increased, and all the reviews or the payments and also the buying of the course and people who are also selling off the course. So there's the engagement of the peer-to-peer connection. So where people are able to like to ping each other without the intermediaries or the central part. So we have also the micro credentials and lifelong learning. Like blockchain enables the insurance of the micro credentials for specific skills. Like we also have this particular project for Eddy Chain in South Africa, a platform like ensuring and verification of the micro credentials for vocational training. So this is also like a particular project which is leveraging the use of blockchain as a technology. Okay. So also blockchain for early childhood education. So imply uses blockchain to track attendance and funding for early childhood education programs. This is basically about so how we talked about how can we store some money within the smart contract, and you know that money stored in the smart contract cannot be removed, or maybe if you don't have a way out, it can be totally stored forever. So, but on maybe this particular project, so they stake some money within the smart contract, and upon this is basically the saving for the maybe the school fees for the children. Basically, you save some funds, and then those funds can be used like afterwards. So this is also like a project which is out there, which is also being used as far as for research as of now. So blockchain real estate, which we talked about like more often. So this is basically also talking about like simplifying land registration, or basically creation or registration, some sort of, and property transactions. This is basically maybe if we have this particular project and people want maybe to add or maybe sell some land to make easier the process. So we have this project, land labor, using blockchain for property transactions and also the workflow. So maybe so in our let's suppose as of now, if you want to let's say you want to buy a land. So it will take up to, if you're ready with the payment, so the land to be assigned on your name. So it will take maybe 3 days to 1 week, depending also on the workflow you are using, just for the transaction to be done already. And it would be nice to say, and yes, I also again just emphasize, maybe it might also be possible for the Web2 solutions. Um, just say if I buy a land, or maybe I want to sell my land, it could maybe can be all done in 1 or 2 days, and everything is done, the documents, and already the landowner, like the ownership is already assigned to the other person who is buying the land. But also still the blockchain technology, since like we know the good like in terms of features, we have the immutability and security and decentralized. It can also be used as a good solution for like for the land registration, or maybe land, or maybe other assets, selling and buying. So, and also we have the land rights, like the ownership. Let's say maybe if maybe I have maybe 5 kids, and maybe I want to transfer the ownership of the land to another, maybe to five, to like all of them. This particular ownership, how uh, can be transmitted from one person to another person. So this particular feature, or I mean, speaking of the security and immutability, so how this land ownership, maybe for example, we want to transfer the ownership from person A to person B. So this particular tool, blockchain, also can play like a big role when it goes to the ownership transfer. Also, we have also Bitland, like in Ghana, which uses blockchain to record and also verify land ownership. So, and also speaking of, when we talk about also like most of the project which leverages the usage, like uses like building on top of Bitcoin, you might see that they have like bit and then they add name of the land. Like as of like maybe this is a bit land, they focus on land, and there are also another project, maybe like a bit circle, like basically if you're trying like in the coming physical session, we have like to maybe even talk about maybe how, even if like we are building on Ethereum, but what are the theory behind like building on also on Ethereum, which is also doable depending on the workflow that you're using. So this is basically if you want to try to build on top of Bitcoin protocol, and then your platform we have maybe to use like Bitcoin in the background. So yes, that was like a small off topic example. So also we have like blockchain like for SMEs, small businesses. So we have this Baku like this uses blockchain to help small business access financial services. So this can be maybe how they provide like a small, maybe like a small marketplace where they provide maybe some grants, maybe yes, the financial services. So where people can they connect investors and with the innovators. So where people who are having, or maybe business people, they have this particular solution or innovation, and then there's this also ex innovator maybe want to contribute or maybe put some money within the pool, and how these financial services um, are being followed, or maybe um, like depending on the workflow that they're using, how these financial services are being put in place, or maybe if they have like a workflow or something, how this is being made in the background. So also blockchain in government, like we saw like this CBDC, Central Bank Digital Coin, that may be an example. So, how this like blockchain can be used like in government? So, like blockchain for public record management and reducing corruption, when everything or every transaction on every record is recorded on the blockchain. Like for example, Zimbabwe and Botswana's blockchain-based land registry system. So back to the land example, this is like where this land registry system, I mean, is approved, and 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 the government also approves the workflow of the system, like in general. So and but now, as of now, like let's say blockchain for the government. So speaking of CBDC, it can also be implemented like without the usage of the blockchain. But also remember that this particular CBDC or like our stablecoin, it can also be like created with the blockchain, which is mostly suitable when it goes to the security. So there are also other use cases where government can use this particular technology. So in terms of security and also increasing the like in general, like how people are trying to attack the system, just reducing the threats within the system in general. Okay, now it's about like small like brainstorming. So we got to see the like in general the benefits of the smart contract or maybe the codes which is running this decentralized network or the blockchain. Like obviously it improves efficiency, reduce fraud, and increase trust. So depending on the feature that we saw, so now we need to understand that whenever this smart contracts or those codes running on the centralized network is used, so we need to understand that the system is having like is reducing fraud since like no one is we have then do the update unless they use the upgradable smart contract, which we had like a small talk on the last station, and also to improve the efficiency. So challenge is like common challenge. I mean the scalability and the regulatory like hurdles or maybe just framework or rules. So the scalability might say if I want to scale my system and do the maybe support depending on the layer that you're using. Sometimes the scalability might pop up as an issue, and also the regulatory, say, like we were talking about, maybe if there's no like a particular strategy out there, maybe in fintech or maybe IT sector, which basically talks about in general what is uh, the basic use cases or maybe the average use case of the blockchain. But we have like a good progress, like since also we talk about like there's like a raise of this road draft for capital market authority, which also like a good article to read to at least understand what is the news as of now within the region. Okay, now speaking of these tools, I believe we already. So we had a remix with all this, and also we had also like a small presentation on these tools like Trafo and Hardhat. MetaMask is the wallet itself, and also the Alchemy and Infura. We know those are the providers which gives you the keys which we use just to deploy your applications. Basically, they helps you to remove the application that you create just within your personal computer and then put your application within the decentralized network. So, and then the system, whenever the system is being used, the transaction which is being carried on within the system, it will be validated by the real miners and the validators. So those are the guys which helps you connecting, like bridging, putting your application within the space. And also, again, those are kind of the use cases. We saw also the DeFi, and specifically for the DeFi, the blockchain itself. So we also other use cases. We have like decentralized insurance when you maybe try to come to say this particular organization, how can we, I mean, insurance company, how can include the decentralized workflow. So we also have decentralized loan and credit scoring, supply chain and trade finance, tokenized real estate and land ownership, which I believe you already have like a small touch on this, and the challenge, like the barriers and the solutions, like lack of awareness about blockchain. Like people doesn't know like at least the basic understanding of the blockchain. So when you talk about blockchain, it's all about crypto, like not the less that blockchain. It has the coding part, the data structure, the deployment, which itself defines like a technology itself, rather than like focusing on one project itself. So also limited technical infrastructure, the infrastructure which is limited. Maybe speaking of, maybe if you want maybe to contribute to the validator, to the particular X protocol, maybe you don't have like enough computing power, something like that. And resistance to change, because sometimes if people say like, I have a system which works, but why do I need this? Like most of my work is already done or is working 100%. So now the solution is like training programs for educators, just to help them retouching or upskilling again the knowledge. Partnerships with tech companies, which is out there focusing on innovation, and pilot project to demonstrate benefits. So basically, there's a project. So instead of like denying the project totally at first, at least allow the people, or maybe do a piloting phase within the organization. Just try out a solution, a blockchain solution. If it works, just go for it. And I mean, at least it doesn't work. You have tried, and you have seen at least what is there and what is trending as of now. So yeah, this is basically about the session for today, just focusing on understanding, which in the coming session we'll be focusing on the other use cases of the blockchain, like blockchain as a tool, as a technology, where you need to write some codes which create a particular solution. And yeah, so I'll be happy to receive some questions if there is any. And I will also remember that I will also send like a small assessment to evaluate ourselves, like so far what we have covered and what do we understand as of now. Yes, thanks. Do we have any question so far? Or just a comment in general? Yes, yes.
Okay, Charles, I want to ask, like in the coming session,
Hmm.
if we can have like for coding session, if we can have like if you can set up the all the things like from scratch locally.
Hmm.
Yeah, I don't know if you have it in your plan.
Yeah, yeah, sure. Yeah, obviously, good question. Because so you remember the project I shared about the small bank? Just
Yeah.
I just want to show you that it's like basically showing like one of the final output that we need to have. Like, yes, we can learn to write code in Solidity in VS Code. I mean, on that online IDE, but we're targeting to write our code within the VS Code. So write our smart contracts, write our front end codes, and then do the integration. Step by step, we're going to see if we have, let's say we open a VS Code, it has nothing, and how do we start from scratch? How, let's say, if we are going to use, we saw that Truffle and Hard, those are development tool in environment. It works the same. You just need to choose. We choose maybe Truffle or Hard Hat, and then we choose one. And then with the one we chose, we need to move forward. Let's say we chose maybe Truffle, and then if we have Truffle, what Truffle is going to help us to do. So Truffle can help us to set up the deployment script, where you can say, if I deploy locally, this is what I'm going to use. If I deploy on a testnet, this is what I'm going to use. If I deploy on a mainnet, this is what I'm going to use. So it also creates a folder where you're going to write your smart contract, your codes, and also create like a so-called like migration. This is like just JavaScript codes which helps you to deploy. So basically, this file is called, and then it will deploy the smart contract that we have. So yeah, we are going to have like a step by step setting up the environment moving forward. Great, great.
All right. I think we are done with questions. Anybody else with the questions? Okay. So thanks again for joining today's meeting, part of the third week of the Enterprise Blockchain Bootcamp. Look forward to receiving all of you all tomorrow to continue by step the practicals of the deployment using the leveraging on the Enterprise Blockchain Bootcamp program that we have. So, Chance, thank you very much. Or you have another contribution before we go for today?
So you said?
Do you have any other contribution you want to make for today before we go?
No, 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 no. I'm good. I'm good. Thanks. Yeah.
All right, thank you, everyone. We'll catch up tomorrow by 10 o'clock. Have a wonderful day.
All right, see you tomorrow.
Bye bye.